Hi guys, good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning and we are shooting the Mercedes-Benz A45S AMG. But before I tell you about the car, I want to tell you about a person I once knew, my ex-boss. This was back when I was the automotive editor for the Sun newspaper. So I won't mention his name, but this guy, he was super rich, right? He had a Ferrari 430, he had a Porsche GT3, my favorite Porsche GT3, 996 manual. That guy was he was a complete car nut. You know, I really admired the guy. So, on top of that all, he also had a GLA 45. So one day I was having lunch with him at his office in Berjaya Tower. And I asked him, Mr. So-and-so, how come you have a Porsche, you have a Ferrari, you have this? Why do you need a GLA 45? He said, why not? It's powerful, it's convenient, you know, it's versatile, I can take it to the market. In fact, I bought the car just to go to the market. that was him. And this is the type of people that cars such as this actually appeal to. Because firstly, they are not cheap. Let me show you this car. This is the Mercedes-Benz A45S AMG. Before we get to the car, I want to tell you its price. Somewhere about 440,000, which is roughly about the price of a house outside the Klang Valley or the price of a condo inside the Klang Valley. But honestly, if we have to compare it that way, it means that we can't afford it. True enough, we can't afford it for such a small car. Which takes me to my next point. We simply cannot refer to this as an A-class. Because as I said, if you're going to think about it in the form of an A-class, 437,000 plus, let's round it up to 440,000 for an A-class absolutely does not make sense. You know, even in the UK it's about 50 over £1,000. It's not available in America. But for a small car such as this, 50 over £1,000, it's mind-boggling. So we cannot call it an A-class because it's absolutely not an A-class. It's an AMG, right? And this is a proper AMG as well because it still has that one man, one engine ethos. The A35 doesn't have that. The A45 though has that. We'll get to that later. So now let's talk about the car. A few years ago, someone coined the term pocket rocket. Since then, I think it's been one of the most overused terms. Slingshot out of a corner, brakes like amazing. These are all terms that have been overused. But I tell you what, this is the car that defines all of them, all of those terms. Really, this is that one car that can define the term pocket rocket. 0 to 100 in a little over 3 seconds. Lamborghini who? Ferrari who? This car can single-handedly tapa all these cars, right? Or at least keep up with them. You know, I was watching one of the car reviewers' videos and seriously, they're hanging out with Ferrari owners, Porsche owners in an A-class. Maybe we can use it in that context lah, just to shame the rich boys. But the rich boys are the type of people that will buy this car. Because if you're out there looking for a daily driver, you can, but 440,000 for such a small car just absolutely doesn't make sense lah. So let's talk about that later. Anyway, let's start here. Let's talk about the car. Design-wise, it's quite familiar. It's such a ricer boy design, right? So at the front, you know, you get these vertical slits up here. This is uniquely A45. Of course, you can get this aftermarket and put them on the A250 as well, but it'll still never be A45. So you get this. Aerodynamics works here. Do they function? I suspect they function to channel air towards the brake ducts to cool them down a bit. So yes, they are functional. If you notice, the radiator is down here. So could be expensive, stone chips and such, but time will tell. Brakes are absolutely phenomenal. Drop like an anchor, right? So come to the side. 19-inch wheels, Michelin, no issues. What I do have an issue though with are these exhausts. Because even the Mercedes brochure says quad exhaust, but they're bluffing. There's no quad exhaust. This is all just cosmetics, because underneath it all, if you can see it, let me show you. Underneath it is actually a single exhaust. So yeah, it's just purely cosmetics. Booth wise, space wise, I took my son out to a petting zoo yesterday. Stroller in here, no issues. Our camera gear in here, no issues. Of course, it's not very big. It is, after all, a hatchback, but it's decent. You could go shopping. I have a full-size Chico stroller, so it took up the entire space. But that's not the point over here. The point is, it's decent. Okay. Now let's talk about the engine. Let me pop the hood. Oh, bonnet. Oh, shit, bonnet. So, I want to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the world's most powerful 4-cylinder engine. This is it. The world's most powerful 4-cylinder engine. And this is what I mean. One man, one engine. Mr. Simon Snooze, something like that. Thank you so much for building such an amazing machine. Okay, power-wise, 421 horsepower, 500 Newton meters of torque. Fantastic. Like I said earlier, 0 to 100, slightly over 3 seconds. It's an amazing engine. There's no doubt about it, right? You can't fault this engine. It's a little bit thirsty, but hey, it's almost race spec. So can't blame it for wanting a little bit more fuel. But other than that though, it's mated to an 8-speed gearbox. Shifts like a dream. Pop, 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 so fast. Twin clutch, of course. So that's the engine. Let's get inside. Let me move this for you. Glasses, such. So interior wise, of course, as you would expect of a Mercedes, super nice place to be. It's the new generation. The interior of the new generation Mercedes-Benz is amazing. Seriously, it's so nice. Look at the seats. Look at the seats. It's so nice. It's like you're sitting inside them, you know, and it really holds you in place. It's almost like a full-on race seat. Let me turn this on. Azim, I need the key. The key is with you? Huh? Key. Thank you. Sounds very mundane right now. Sounds very normal, but I changed it to sport mode. Here it is. So I know some journalists have criticized the A45 for being slightly muted. It is a little bit muted, but when you're on the go, it sounds amazing. Even the shifts, you know, you have that pop, 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 and when you let off the throttle, you get that fart, like a proper fart, you know. So yes, it has all that. But talking about quality, talking about the seats, everything about the seat is adjustable. Let me show you. So you go here, you go to comfort mode, right? And it shows you seat kinetics. It's quite long. Seat kinetics, so you click on seat kinetics, and then you play it. So what this does is, it adjusts the seats while you're driving ever so slightly. It adjusts the lumbar support, it adjusts the backrest, so you're never fully, you know, like, or you don't get numb spots on your body as well. So it's constantly adjusting itself. See, it just adjusted the backrest, adjusted my thigh support. It's brilliant in that sense. So stop, then lumbar is quite obvious. So what is quite interesting though is the side bolsters. The side bolsters is this part of the seat, right? So what it does is, if I push this up, it grips me even tighter. It almost feels like I'm a part of the seat. Now it's gripping me a bit too tight. I feel like it's about to break my rib cage. But yes, I feel like this is the seat. I just feel like I'm part of the seat. It's brilliant. And I really like how I can adjust exactly how I want the seat to be. Right? It's traditionally, I remember the first generation A45 seats were something of this sort as well, but those seats I had to adjust from the side here. Now everything about the seat except for the backrest and the height adjustment is all from here, which is brilliant as well, rather than having it on the side and having to guess what you touch. Memory seats, of course, everything's here. Heated. Some people like heated seats. I don't. I would prefer perforated seats, ventilated. But yes, this is the point. And everything over here: navigation, radio, media, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course. But you have to plug in with a cable, and it's only Type C. So that's a bit of a bummer. Then track pace. Now it gives you a warning. Activate and use only on closed-off tracks away from public traffic. That's how serious this car is, guys, because this car is no joke. So now it's telling me track race, but it says no tracks in the vicinity. So I'm nowhere near Sepang or any other track, so it's not going to let me use this mode. What about drag race? I can drag this car. Seriously, I just have to pull this and it will adjust how this car launches and give me optimal, firstly optimal power and optimal grip. The good thing about this car, it's all-wheel drive, right? Even though it's front-wheel centric, but it's all-wheel drive. But despite being all-wheel drive, it is able to individually send power to individual wheels. Not only send power to individual wheels, get this, it can send 100% of power to individual wheels. So not just 50% or 60%, 100% of power to individual wheels. Now what's the difference with the A35? The A35 sends power to front or rear axle, right? But the A45 though is a lot faster in corners simply because it can send power to individual wheels. Fantastic. Seriously, you feel like you're never going to run out of grip. There are times where I can actually feel individual wheels working harder than the other wheel, especially when you're on corners. It just slides the rear just a little bit for optimal grip. Brilliant. This telemetry, so it tells me everything about speed, throttle input, all these things. And it's supposed to have a drift mode as well, but I can't get drift mode. Anyway, then it gives me the AMG Dynamics, gives me all the readings of the engine. So it's not just a car. This thing is a moving telemetry box. So under settings, I can adjust everything about this car. The lights, the interior lights, I think I have about 64 different lights that I can choose from. Pink, if you're a pimp, purple, blue, all of this. Brilliant color. This is what I mean. You got so many lights to choose from. Multicolor animation, climate, track pace. Anyway, it's mind-boggling. So, I want to show you the other thing. Why don't you come inside? Because I'm going to show you this. Okay. It also has one of the biggest screens in the business. Right? Look at this. This is massive screen. What is this, about 25 inches? 30 inches? I don't know. What I wanted to show you was these two things over here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Porsche introduced this in the 911, and what it was supposed to do, it was a button that you press, of course, to select your modes, like you can do with this. This is comfort, this is individual, sport, sport plus, of course it shows over there as well, and this is race, because who doesn't like race mode, right? Then from there I can click it here as well, and it will reset. It will straight away take me back to individual. But of course you can adjust this. Then this over here, this is where it gets interesting, because I can quickly select suspension, the gearbox settings, auto start stop, traction control, and if I wanted to select this, I just press it here and it shows that. But I can also select it from here. So comfort, sport, sport plus, comfort, sport, sport plus. So it just, rather than having to take my eyes off the road and adjust it here, I can just adjust it from here. This is brilliant. This is basically, essentially, a very tiny colored screen. How cool is this? And it's touch screen as well. Of course, it doesn't adjust, it doesn't react to touches. You have to press it. Brilliant. I love the steering wheel. You get Alcantara here, you get Alcantara on your seats just a little bit, you get Alcantara over here. You know, quality wise, it's a really, really, really nice car. You know, the shifter pedals, they look aluminium, but I suspect they're a shade of their type of very expensive plastics. Doesn't matter, look great. When I first drove this car, when the A35, I think I didn't quite like this touchy things over here. So this is how you adjust the screens over here. Especially why I didn't like it was when you're attacking corners and such, right? So sometimes your thumb tends to get in the way, so, or rather accidentally touch this. So whatever it is that you have set on the screen, you know, panic ensues. So like, oh, what the hell just happened? So yeah, but it works great. There's no doubt about it. It works fantastic, and I can from this touchy thingy here, I can adjust this. Brilliant. And this just looks like the engine of a jet fighter. It looks fantastic. Turn it off this way, turn it on that way. People who have owned classic Benzes from the 70s and 80s, even models like the W123, had air conditioning settings such as this. This is fantastic. So of course, the other thing I forgot to mention, that this is a non-edition 1 model, so you don't get the panoramic roof. So it doesn't matter, which means that if you are the type that really likes to attack corners, you get better body rigidity up here without the panoramic roof. So brilliant. The back seat though is of course looks great. It's almost looks like it has a bucket seat back there. Of course, again, this is an A class, so not a lot of space there, but you do get enough space for a child seat. You get ISOFIX tethers, so that's fantastic. My boy really loved it. The acceleration of this car completely freaked him out, which was a great way to put him to sleep. You know, if he didn't behave, I'll accelerate. So yeah, he was behaving back here. Those are his stuff, and I really like the way those ISOFIX mounts are just so obvious that way. You know, don't have to fiddle and look for them behind the seats or something. So I really like the way that is just put out there. Everything over here, this quality of these buttons, everything looks great, feels great. This is a touchpad that adjusts this as well, but there's so many ways to adjust this. I have not touched this at all because everything is available over here. So, but this is basically a place where you rest your palm, and yeah, volume. This is where you can control, you can select your drive modes, navigation radio, so you can adjust, you can basically program what you want this button to do. Right now, if I press this button, it takes me home, I mean home screen, not home. And if I press this button, it lets me adjust certain aspects of the car. And if I press this button, it shows me what's around. And this is Amirul. He's the guy behind Motor Malaya, behind Bikes Republic. He's the brains behind everything of our organization. And yes, everything in here feels very, very nice. Yeah. Amirul, why don't you show them how it sounds like behind?
Sure. Let's go.
So yeah, there you have it, the Mercedes A45S AMG. So don't forget, there's the A45 non-S model as well. Not quite sure whether that's available in Malaysia. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful hot hatch. It doesn't actually matter, like I was telling you about my ex-boss earlier, it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter what you drive. If you can afford it, you should have this, because the driving experience on this thing is unlike any other supercar that you have in your garage. It's such an amazing driving experience. The engine, fantastic. The way this car handles, the way power is sent to individual wheels, I really, really appreciate that. It's an engineering marvel for such a small car. You know, many years ago, there was this entire argument when hot hatch cars started ditching their manual transmissions in favor of automatic transmissions. You know, there was a big hoo-ha about you know, losing identity, losing the driving experience. I was one of those guys. You know, I used to have a Clio 197 Clio RS, and when I heard that the Clio was going ditching the manual for an automatic, I was like, what the hell, that's it, you know. But having driven this is the king of hot hatches. And I tell you one thing, there's no way a manual transmission would have been able to perform like this. Fantastic. Anyway, I'm Cashy Dillon. If you like what you see, please do consider subscribing to my channel. We're bringing you more such videos. Thank you.